This is Magnus with another chess video for you. I always like to point out that I'm not an expert at the start of my videos. I'm just an ordinary guy trying to learn and improve his chess. That said, today I was playing the black pieces and my opponent was a pawn pusher, and these days I quite like the opportunity to play against pawn pushers because although I find the tactic challenging, I have to get better. And the only way, I think, is through practice. So the game began with a queen's pawn lead from my opponent, and I began the start of my Piet's defense. He made a second pawn move, and I played a pawn move with the intention of fianchettoing my king's bishop. Third pawn move, pop my bishop into the hole. Fourth pawn move. And it struck me, I've never really thought about this before, but with a bishop fianchettoed in this way, it's really quite easy for your opponent to get that pawn down there, isn't it? It's just 2 pawn moves rather than 3. Anyway, it made me think. I didn't want to take this pawn because that would bring his rook out, and I didn't want to push by because, of course, that would bring his bishop out and I'd lose a pawn too. So I decided to leave it there and bring out my pawn. He took and I took. I was quite happy with that exchange. Made another pawn move and I brought my knight out ready to castle. And he made another pawn move. At this point I'm thinking, I'm wondering about the wisdom of continuing with my plan of castling kingside. I mean, we've got these pawns coming. We've got his rook involved. So I'm now thinking in terms of castling queenside, and for that reason, I bring my other knight out. He brings a bishop over into the action, and I move my queen out ready to castle. He takes my knight, and I take back. Another pawn move, and I'm able to castle. Now at this point I'm feeling quite pleased with myself because despite his best plans to disrupt things over here on the king side, I've managed to castle queenside. I've got my king safe, nice and safe. My minor pieces are in good positions. So I feel that I've kind of withstood the initial onslaught. But he keeps coming. He brings a bishop out. And in these situations, I always like to challenge my opponent straight away to either take or move away. And he took, and I took back. Again, I'm feeling quite pleased with the situation. He brings a knight, and I decided to challenge his pawn center. He made another pawn move. This is the point at which I'm thinking in terms of breaking open the center. I'm wondering about sacrificing this bishop in return for gaining 2 pawns. And I could take this pawn, lose my bishop, take the other pawn, and really break open the center. And look how exposed his king is already. His pieces are not very well organized. I'm wondering if there's a possibility of a checkmate. So I decide to go for it, take his pawn, lose my bishop, take the other pawn, and he pops his queen in front of my pawn ready to capture it. So I support my pawn, and he castles. So just look how exposed his king is. I bring my rook up to threaten his pawn, and he brings his knight across, and this of course is a fork. So I decide to take the pawn. I did not expect him to take the bishop because in taking back it's a check, but he did take the bishop, so it was a check and he had to move, so losing time. And so just look how exposed his queen is. I just need to get a rook or my queen somewhere along this file, and that's checkmate. So I connect my rooks. Despite the danger, he goes ahead and takes my pawn. So again, that's a free move. I check him. He moves back. Get my rook out and into the action. Just got to be careful not to blunder this piece. I don't know why he brought this knight out. He should be trying to do something about this situation. So I move my rook into position, ready to checkmate him. And he decides to try to do something, but he's too late. So there you go. I was quite pleased with the game overall. I think I might be getting a little bit better at dealing with pawn pushers. Quite pleased with the idea of the sacrifice in that particular situation. I'm not always happy with sacrificing pieces, but in this case, I think it was the right thing to do. Hope you enjoyed the game. See you next time.